let's bring in our guest. Joining us this hour to discuss is National Trial Attorney Mike Jaafar. Michael, great to see you as always. Thank you so much for joining me today on the program. I want to talk about this particular witness. First and foremost, he goes a little bit to motive. I thought one of the things in the state's case that's probably the weakest is the motive. We talked about means, motive, and opportunity. I think the opportunity was certainly there. The means, well, we don't know. We don't have the means at the moment, but certainly she admits to having a stick and hitting him over the head. We don't know about the actual beheading of the body, but the motive comes down to this sort of custody issue with the girls. And we heard something there where he talks about, she says, look, I'm going to do whatever I have to do to get my girls back. But I thought the defense did a great job of pointing out that this happened in October of 2022. And after that, they did, in fact, get back together and were planning to move in back together. What did you make of his testimony, as specifically how it goes to motive?
I think it was very impactful. He came off as credible. He moved the needle for me on the motive aspect. I wish the defense attorney would have been a little bit more robust in his cross-examination. He came in and out. By the way, that's an amazing defense attorney on that side. We've seen him in other trials. But I think in terms of motive, I think he moved the needle in the direction of that the state wanted. Well,
let's explore that a little bit. You said you think he should have been more robust. Sometimes when we talk about cross-examination, sometimes defense attorneys can go on too long. I thought this really sort of established what he needed to establish, because the problem with the testimony was this idea that this was a contentious issue regarding the custody of the girls and some of the things she said, but he wanted to remind this jury and get in front of this jury that, hey, this happened about a year and a half before this whole other situation, and in that meantime, they got back together. What more do you think he should have done?
I have a thing that I say called sing for the cameras, right? When you're on a point that actually gives you momentum, that is positive for you, you want to always string it on as long as possible because you have actual human beings in the room watching it. I just thought it should have been an extra 4 or 5 questions to really drive it home, because some jurors have short attention spans. Most human beings have short attention spans, and so I just feel like he's smarter than most of the people on that jury. He just needs to understand that some of those jurors would have needed a second or third or fourth question to really drive the point home. And not to be insulting, but that's just the way defense attorneys look at it.
Yeah, that's kind of the way it goes for sure. I wanted to ask you about this motive thing. You said he kind of moved the ball for you on the motive. Do you agree with me that that might be a little bit of a problem? I don't think it's a major problem, but I think it might be a little bit of a problem for the prosecution, this idea of motive. I'm still struggling to understand exactly what her motivation would have been. And also, you have to take into account the nature of the crime, of course, which was a beheading.
Yeah. No, the beheading is grotesque, and so that makes it a little bit more difficult for them on the motive side. But the fact that he came in and said that her behavior was bizarre, I know that the human beings on the jury will go into the jury room saying, no, she was an adult porn actress, and here's somebody saying she was behaving bizarrely. She had this weird love triangle. She was married to his son. She lied about why she was married to his son. So I think he moved the needle on motive because of the fact that he testified that her behavior was very bizarre. That's why it moved the needle for me in that direction.
All right, fair enough. And I gotta say, when I think about a beheading, I think of intense emotion. There has to be a lot there for someone to decide that this is the way that they're going to do things, right? Because ultimately, according to the medical examiner, that's how he died. Initially, I guess she claims she knocked him out, but the death was caused by the beheading. And to me, that says emotion. Do you think they've established the fact that she had that kind of emotion behind these issues that apparently they're claiming they had?
I don't think they've proved the motive that she actually beheaded him, because it's one thing to kill somebody. It's another thing to actually carve a head off of a body and detach the spine. I think the defense attorney will hammer on that, but I don't think they moved the needle on the motive that she beheaded him. Just the fact that her behavior was bizarre, and she herself is predisposed to being a very bizarre human being in general. I think they moved the needle on that.
All right, fair enough. And again, state doesn't have to prove motive, but it's always very helpful in cases like this. All right, Mike, stand by. We're going to take a break here. All right, folks, before we head back to court, I want to bring back in National Trial Attorney Michael Jaafar. Michael, the first thing I want to talk about is this idea that the underlying issue with both of these DCFS folks who are testifying, we'll talk about the information in a minute that we just heard, but is the idea that she was losing custody of her girls. And we both know that for a woman to lose custody of the girls, something bad might have happened. I explained earlier there was this issue with some abuse or alleged abuse, which she actually admitted to. So I don't know if it's even alleged at this point. She was convicted, sentenced to a year probation just a couple of days after this particular murder. But what do you think that message is that this jury's getting from that bit of facts?
I think the jury is seeing the full picture from this bit of fact, right? Because at the end of the day, defendants are a full entire picture. They're like a slice of a cake, multiple layers. You get the whole entire slice from beginning to end. So I think the jury is painting a picture about this woman. And so I think, you know, that's how the juries are going to internalize the information they're seeing with respect to the abuse. And what she basically, I don't think it's alleged. I think, you know, I agree with you. She admitted to it.
Yeah, no doubt about it. So here we are with the information provided by the latest witness, said something to the effect that she had to do it. And I said earlier, I'm not sure exactly what she was referring to. It could have been allowing him to move back in. It could have been, I don't think it was referring to the murder, but not sure what else she could have been referring to. What did you make of that particular part of the testimony?
It's really connecting dots. It's connecting the dots. I think, you know, I will say jury pools are like a Rorschach test when the trial is over. I think this not even a Rorschach test. I think this is a puzzle where they're being connected. This woman either did this murder, was instrumental in it.